From NBC News, this is Today with Matt Lauer and Meredith Vieira, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
We're back now at 8:16. If you thought your days of dealing with bullies ended after middle school, think again. NBC's Rahema Ellis discovered that a shocking number of them are running rampant at work.
I've been silenced at meetings. I've had my work sabotaged. This manager would scream in the middle of the department and belittle me.
Colleen Robinson says it happened to her, a piling on of mostly non-physical attacks.
My boss was a bully. She was just a bully.
No surprise when Hollywood tackles the subject.
No, I'm so sorry, Miranda. I actually did confirm last night.
Your incompetence do not interest me.
The bully wears Prada, but the put-down is the same.
If I do something right, it's unacknowledged. She doesn't even say thank you. But if I do something wrong, she is vicious.
Concern about bullying in the workplace is more common than many people think. Experts say 54 million people have been affected, meaning 1 in every 8 workers has been bullied on the job. A recent study by the Workplace Bullying Institute found bullying is done primarily by men. More than half of the targets are women, and overwhelmingly, women bosses target other women. Experts say women bullies are mimicking behavior.
They transform themselves from parent of the month in the car, in the parking lot, to when they get inside the corporate door into viper and animal, because they're picking up the cues in the work environment, they're seeing what it takes to get ahead, and this particularly applies to women.
The harm, he says, is a lot like what children experience when bullied. Depression, anxiety, self-isolation, and for an adult, that means not going to work. Painful consequences for a worker and a company.
Bullying greatly reduces a company's productivity, as well as increasing other costs like the cost of turnover and the ability to retain very talented people.
For Robinson, her only option was to leave.
I left with lower self-esteem. I left with a question of what is right and wrong.
Today, she's planning to go back to school and possibly become self-employed, knowing better than ever how to spot a bully and how that behavior is bad for business. For Today, Rahema Ellis, NBC News, Chicago.
Nicole Williams is a career expert. Nicole, good morning. Nice to see you. Here's the problem, in my opinion. If you're being bullied at work, that's bad enough. But if you're being bullied by someone who can actually fire you,
yes,
that's a really difficult dynamic.
It is a difficult dynamic. And, you know, not to underestimate that, but at the end of the day, you need to stand up for yourself. You know, there is the opportunity and the responsibility on some level for you to defend yourself.
Before we get to that point, let's define what technically is and is not bullying. First of all, if you're being publicly humiliated at work.
Yes, this is your boss walks into a meeting and belittles you. And it's not necessarily attached to your professional performance.
Not constructive criticism.
Not constructive criticism, and not behind a closed door. This is in a group of people, your peers, your coworkers, and it's a blatant disregard. It's generally more personally oriented. It's kind of like my kid could have done a better job than you could have.
Also, if you're being sabotaged by a coworker, and this apparently happens more often than people realize.
Yes, this is someone stealing your ideas, forgetting to invite you to an important meeting, changing, you know, the scope of a project, or inflicting a deadline that's absolutely unrealistic for you to achieve. These are the kinds of things that, you know, do sabotage your ability to perform.
And another form of bullying might often be confused with just gossip, but that is when you're being vilified by a coworker. Someone is spreading malicious rumors about you in the workplace.
That's absolutely right. And sort of the line between what is bullying relative to vilifying someone and what is just, you know, appropriate competitiveness in the workplace is it true or is it not? You know, the fact is, if they're spreading an untruth about you, that's a problem. But if the boss walks by and says, hey, Matt isn't here and it's 10, well, Matt doesn't come in until 11. That's appropriate. That's okay.
When do you brush it off, Nicole, and when do you say, okay, now I've got to actually take action here?
Yeah, and I love that question because that's the problem with bullying. For the most part, you just eat it, and like they said in the clip, it can result in anxiety and depression. You don't go to work. Your ability to perform is impacted. And as a career expert, your primary career tool is you. And if you don't have confidence, if you don't feel motivated, you are at a loss. And your responsibility is to protect yourself. So enough is enough.
Not to get a lot of parents up in arms here, but when you're young, sometimes you tell a kid who's being bullied, the best way to handle it, walk right up to the bully and punch him in the nose. And they will not do it again. They'll learn the lesson quickly. What's the equivalent of doing that in the workplace?
Right.
You can't hit somebody. Can you figuratively bully back?
You can. And I don't know that it's even bullying back, but it is standing your ground. It is saying, I will not tolerate this. Because bullies go after the weak. They sense out the weak, and that is no different than the schoolyard. It's about power and control. And if you make it crystal clear that you are not going to engage in this game, they're going to find someone else.
And I know you feel you confront the bully first and then go to a boss second, and only after you've documented some of the instances.
Absolutely.
Nicole, thanks.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
Matt.
you very much. It's 8:21. Let's go upstairs to Meredith.